welcome back to the show. Today I'm joined by Birmingham street artist, Foka Wolf.
Hello.
Hello. You've been fly posting and creating street art for nearly a decade now. What were your first pieces like?
Yeah, so my first pieces were sort of illustrated characters, usually sort of these split up head things, and so I sort of used to paste them about the city.
What prompted you to stick things up on lampposts and paste posters up?
Well, I just like the idea of putting stuff up in the public domain. I think it's a very powerful tool, and just seeing people's reactions, because the first ones that I stuck a telephone number on the bottom of them, so I used to get a lot of answer phone messages, so I liked to see the reactions of people.
That's very interesting, actually. I must ask. Can you tell us a bit more about some of your influences and what they mean to you? Maybe about, I'll go with 3 to 4 inspirations.
My inspirations on a sort of an artistic level, I'd say there's a guy called Steve Powers who does a lot of text-based and illustration-based paintings and street art. Something that's sort of a mixture between art and comedy, I guess, would be David Shrigley. So, you know, his work's sort of very inspiring to me, because it doesn't look like there's been a lot of time been put into the pieces. It's where the idea is more important than the actual piece, which really appeals to me, because I try and bang these posters out as quick as possible. On a comedy level, I'd imagine stuff like Chris Morris, any of the stuff that he did back in the day, like Brass Eye and The Day Today, were like huge influences on me, because it was sort of that getting in to like a familiar setting but putting something surreal in the middle of it. And for a fourth one, it'd probably be yourself, if I'm quite honest.
That's really gracious of you. Thank you for that. You're quite a big person in the Birmingham scene, so and the world actually. So I appreciate that. When did you become aware of the power of humour and comedy to communicate complex and grand ideas?
I guess when I put the penis enlargement poster up, it got a lot of sort of phone calls, and a lot of the people were in on the joke, and a lot of people made angry, a lot of people were confused, some people thought it was actually real. So then I sort of realised that just, you know, this something written in this sort of way can sort of trick a lot of people. But then I feel like there's a thing with humour where you can use it as a tool to change people's opinions, and you know, instead of alienating people and saying you're bad, you shouldn't do this, if you can get them to laugh and get them to, you can sort of put an idea back into their head, you can sort of reframe it. So like especially putting up the posters and seeing people's reactions and seeing I guess the comments and how it can sort of break down barriers, that's when I realised how important humour was.
So I've got just a few more questions. Your popularity has grown massively over the last couple of years. What were the pieces that really exploded for you?
Obviously, the penis enlargement was the one that set it all off. One that keeps on doing the rounds on the internet is the Conservative Party Let's Cut People in Half, and the ones that are put on a bus usually create a lot of traction, because they look from the outset, they look from the offset, they look like real adverts, so they pull people in. And I always try and make the brands global, so they have relevance around the world. So I'd say when I started to put the ones on the trains and buses, that's when it started to go big, because they started to reach more of an international audience.
Great, fantastic. Your work has also become noticeably more politicised. Was there a particular incident or concern that led to this increased politicised or social awareness?
A lot of the time with the political stuff, I was just sort of being influenced on stuff that was making me angry. So a lot of the time it would be advertisements or stuff that was getting thrown in my face, but other times it would be a housing development that was getting a piece of gentrification that was happening, or something would happen in the news like funding cuts. So things like that would make me more politicised.
Brilliant, yeah. In terms of the subject matter, has the COVID-19 crisis affected your work in any way? Exploring different ideas or themes, or even different approaches to how you work?
Well, it's like, it's the way of life now, isn't it? I mean, affected it at the start because I wasn't going out to stick stuff up. I went out in lockdown and stuck a few things up, but I didn't sort of want to get fined and made an example of getting caught in lockdown. So I moved a lot of my stuff online and did a lot of sort of, I guess you'd call them meme-based pieces, which were really easy to do actually because I could just bang them out really quick.
Much of your work is recognisably you. There's a Foka Wolf style per se, but some pieces seem a bit closer to the work you're parodying stylistically. Are you too conscious about being too realistic?
One of the ideas is to make them as realistic as possible, because the idea of the posters is to make people question reality and question misinformation and question fake news. And the more the lines get blurred, I think the more vigilant you have to be. So I'm going to go and try and trick as many people as I possibly can by making them real. Some of them won't even have jokes in them. They'll just be like a normal advert for a Ford car.
Do you think in the social media driven age that posters still have the power that they had in the 19th and 20th centuries?
Yes, I think that they probably have more power now because the poster doesn't actually mean anything. It's the photo and the social media that it's put on. So the poster can last for one day, but the picture will last forever. So I think it's probably 1,000,000 times more powerful than it was in the Roman times.
Your work is beginning to get picked up by major art galleries, like the Compton Vernies. Are you comfortable working in that environment?
I am comfortable in working in that environment as long as it means that I am subverting that environment. So as long as I can carry the same message and the same ethos across the board, I'm happy to work in that environment.
Lastly, what are your plans for the coming months? Or any more limited editions or projects and plans?
This year, I'm trying to focus more on big public art. So that's sort of, I'm trying to paint the side of buildings and get more big installations in places that are more permanent than just the posters. Working on more objects and also just looking into sort of getting into maybe like a sort of like an influencer sort of role. I'm just after any sort of jewellery or cars,
jewellery.
But if anybody has anything to give me, I'll have that.
Best of luck. Best of luck to you. If you got any cars or jewellery, call in. Okay, thank you.